Hello, this is RICKY, the YouTube Tech Guy. Hey guys, today we have something special here at Newegg, and that is the Dashcam Buyer's Guide. This is going to be your all-encompassing how to find the best dashcam for you video. Now we're going to go over the different types of dashcams, what features you should be looking for, compare 4 different models we have here in front of me, and really go over the footage and what you should be thinking about when you're looking at what's going to be important to you. Now, without further ado, let's introduce our 4 dash cams.
First, we have the Vava VD004. This is only going to be one camera for this dash cam, but the main camera is 4K. Now, we'll get into what the f1.8 means later, but lower the better. This does have no screen, so you can look at the footage using your app or download it to your computer. It also does have Wi-Fi to easily connect to your phone, and a little remote control to take a photo with your dash cam. It has a max storage of 256 gigs and a newer connection in micro USB. Then for our next dash cam, we have the AX2V. This has 2 cameras, a main camera and rear camera. Both cameras are going to be at 1080p, and it does have a parking assistant with that rear camera so that you can make sure you park correctly anytime you use it. You also do have a max storage of 128 gigs on this model, and it is a regular mini USB. Of course, one thing you will notice is this is a rear view model, which is going to give you a much bigger image, as we'll see later. And then we move on to the Tugar 3. This one does have 3 cameras. Main camera is 4K while the other 2 are 1080p. Now, important to note that when you use all 3 cameras, the main camera can only go up to 1440p because you need to fit all that storage in your micro SD card. If you do only use 2 cameras though, the main camera will default back to 4K. This one also has Wi-Fi, GPS, and parking aid, so you're able to connect to it with your phone as well as track everything with your GPS on where you've been. Max storage on this one is 256 gigabytes, and it is as well a mini USB. And then finally we move on to the Vantrue N4. This is the highest end model, and it also is a 3 camera system: main camera, rear camera, and cabin camera. The main camera is going to be 1440p, and because of that f1.4, it will be the best in low light. Again, we'll talk about that in just a second. This also has a max storage of 512 gigabytes and a new USB Type-C connection. So now let's see what we should be thinking about when we pick the right dash cam for you.
Alright, now when looking at dash cameras, there's a couple things you want to take a look at. First and foremost, I would say, is how many cameras do you want? So first there is the front view camera, which is going to see everything on the road in front of you. This is probably the most common kind of dash cam, and if you only have one camera, that's the one it's going to be. Then you have the cabin view, which is going to be facing inside your car and will be able to see everyone inside your car. So if you do ride sharing, or if you just want to make sure you can always have a recording of what's happening inside your car, you have that ability with the cabin view camera. And finally, we have the rear view camera, which goes on the back of your car. So that one is going to be for like a parking backup to make sure you're parking okay, or if anyone were to rear end you, especially when you would be parked. So those are going to be the 3 cameras, and that's going to be the first thing you want to make sure is which ones are really important to you, which ones do you want, and that'll determine as a good starting point. And the next part is going to be with what type of dash cams. There's different types when you buy one. So there's ones that just are a camera that has a suction cup, and that is probably the most standard kind that you see. But there's also some really nice ones that act as a rear view mirror. So that's really nice, just to be able to have less space on your windshield cluttered up and, you know, not impair your vision as much. So that's going to be the second thing I would determine, is what kind of style you like better, determined also, of course, with what we talked about a second ago, which is how many cameras you want. Then another thing you're going to want to take a look at is screen size, because some dash cams will have absolutely no screen coming with it. So you have to actually use your smartphone to be able to see your footage that would be recorded. Other ones will have a smaller screen or a fairly decent sized screen, like about a 2.5 or a 1.8 or a 1.5. And then other ones, like this rear view one, has a really big screen, so you can definitely see a lot of the footage right away. So that's going to be something that you should take a look at when seeing, again, of the different styles you're looking at, because sometimes to be able to see the playback is going to be really nice and important, just so you can see something right away as it happens and make sure that it not only recorded it, but that everything was clear as you would like it to be. Next part is going to be something that a lot of people look at as their first thing, but I want to make sure you know the differences. And that is resolution and aperture. So resolution is something that a lot of people take a look at. Oh my God, it's 4K. And we have some 4K recorders with us, so we're going to see the differences, but some are going to be 1440p, which would kind of be like 2K, and then you also have 1080p recording. So these are the different resolutions that all of these are going to record at, but there is something else you should know, and that is aperture. Aperture is labeled as f1.8, f1.4, or f2.0. So all these are different numbers, and the thing you should just know is the lower the number, the better, especially when we're going to be seeing the footage in low light settings. And we'll show you that later as we go over the recordings. But those are the two things you should take a look at to determine how the quality will be in the footage that these cameras are recording. Now, one thing you definitely want to take a look at in the tech specs is going to be how much your max storage is. Because one thing with most of these dash cams, they do not come with storage. You are going to need to buy a micro SD card. For most modern dash cams, you are going to want to get a U3 SD card so that you make sure that it's compatible with it and that it can keep up with the speeds of sometimes multiple cameras feeding into it. So the max storage can be 64 gigs, 128, 256. So you just want to make sure to look at that in the tech specs when purchasing the camera that you're buying. Then we come to definitely the biggest category that will take the most time when you're determining between the final two dash cams that you're looking at, and that is additional features. So additional features are going to vary widely. One thing that most dash cams have, but you want to make sure it has, is loop recording. Being able to actually go over the micro SD card, erase the oldest file, and then record new, so that you never have to actually redo the micro SD card and redo the recording. You also want to look out for protection lock. So what that feature allows for is to basically lock a specific file, so if you do happen to get an accident, that you lock it so that it won't be erased in the loop recording. However, I do always recommend in my experience to take out the memory card within 24 hours to actually offload it, just in case of an accident that I have been a part of. Next, you also want to take a look at extra features like GPS, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. These aren't on every dash cam, but they can be helpful to transfer, or some dash cameras don't have a screen, so you can actually see it on your phone. These are, again, additional features that not every dash cam will have, but ones to look out for. Then there are some other ones that could take different types of connections, such as G-sensor and parking mode. So these abilities are going to basically be if someone were to hit your car when you're parked, that it can actually pick it up and know, or even motion. If someone is moving in front of your car or behind your car, it will actually record it so that it has that ability. Now, sometimes these do require a different type of connection, so instead of connecting to a USB, it has to connect directly to the fuse box. So just know that and make sure you see if it does have a parking mode, if it's ready to be used right out of the box. But additional features are going to, again, determine the final kind of decision once you have determined everything else, which one is really going to have the extra additional features that you're really looking for. Now, one last thing you want to take a look at is the USB connection that is going to be powering all of these. Now, all of the installation process, for the most part, going to be the same, but they will have a different USB connection nowadays. So before, all dash cams used to be mini USB. So mini B USB was an older cable that we used to use for like pocket cameras and things like that, old webcams, but now it's fairly dated. Some dash cams, though, are now going to newer connections, such as micro USB as well as Type-C USB. So it's nice just because you can actually plug it into a regular USB connector that you have in your car, or a dual USB connector like the one we're using from Aukey that allows us to connect two dash cams at the same time.
Now let's take a look at the footage. First, we're going to start off with VAVA, and as you can see, the numbers on the license plate were clear. Overall, just a good quality. It is a 4K camera, so the resolution's pretty good. At nighttime though, it's a little bit darker than I would have thought, and that's just again because the aperture that we went over earlier. So still very clear, but when it gets too dark, it is hard to read the numbers on a license plate. Then we go to the AX2V, which is a 1080p camera. So I think you definitely do notice a little bit of lower clarity compared to what we were just looking at in a 4K camera. However, I think it's detailed enough to where you can get a license plate if you need to. So you do have that ability, I think, with this sensor. Now, when it comes to low light, this is going to be a higher aperture, which means that the low light won't be as good. So I think if you're driving at nighttime a lot, this one might not be it because it's 1080p and it doesn't have a very good low light. And from there we move on to the 2Guard, and this one is really good quality. I was very happy with it. Overall, you can see the numbers just fine. The cabin view is pretty good, although it tends to get a little overexposed in sunlight. Then at night though, I was a little bit perturbed by some of the footage we got that you just really can't see whites as easily, which is important because most license plates are white. And the cabin at night view goes black and white, which I would prefer it stay color. Then we go to the Vantrue. The Vantrue, really great quality, but color is just so well done. This reminds me more of a cell phone camera because of the way it reacts to color and lighting. Even the cabin view, when I'm dropping off my kids, I can see that my daughter's gonna get in trouble putting her foot there, and it's just real clear. Then we also have the nighttime view, which again, it was just brighter than the VAVA. You can already see it's just letting in more light. And what that allows for is in a dark area, you can easily see the license plate, no problem. And the cabin view is indeed color, so you can see everything at nighttime as well.
So what are my conclusions? Well, I will say I like a lot of different features of these dash cams. So first and foremost, the AX2V, this one really just has an amazing looking screen. It's a really nice big screen, and I like this design probably the best. If I could pick a form factor, this one is a really great one to go with, and it's just really nice because it goes around your rear view. Perfect for that scenario, and just that way you don't have anything around your windshield. That's a great feature that definitely stands out about this model. For the VAVA, I really like for the 4K quality you get, it's really outstanding during the daytime. You can read anything you need to in front of you. At nighttime, we did see some differences obviously, but really for a 4K at this price point, I think you can't go wrong for the clarity. You're gonna capture whatever you need to with this one just because of that nice 4K quality. The only thing I would say is you want to make sure you're okay with not having a screen on it. I'm pretty tech savvy, so having a smartphone connect to it isn't the biggest deal for myself, but I will say it depends on you if you're okay with not having a screen. The 2Guard. Now, this model really is just going to be the most affordable one with 3 cameras. I really like that. If you want to have all viewing angles, you have that with this model. So I really do appreciate that. The front view, the cabin view, and the rear view, all at a really good price. So if you're looking to have all those features, and plus all the extras, the GPS, the Wi-Fi, those kind of features are really nice to have on this model. So I really like that as well. And then we have the Vantrue. This one was overall the best quality. I was just very happy with its performance, and definitely for low light video taking. This does cost more than the others, but I think if low light nighttime driving is really important to you, hey, you have a color cabin view as well as just such a good quality front camera. The aperture made the biggest difference to give it the best low light, and it really showed in the video footage. Those are all the models. Let me know what you think. Which dash cam is right for you? Which one are you going to buy? Or which one do you already have? There are lots of deals in the links in the description down below, so make sure to check them out, not only on these 4 models, but all of the rest of the models we carry at Newegg. Thank you as always for watching. This has been RICKY, the YouTube Tech Guy.